Okay, now you got a different thing going on in this one here. You find the product, okay? This is how you find the product of a polynomial, okay? You're gonna make a parentheses there. You're gonna want to put a 1 as a coefficient, and then another parentheses here. This is a polynomial, this is a monomial, because there's no plus and minus there, it's just an m, but you do have plus or minus here, it's a p. Monomial times a polynomial is what it's called, okay? Instead of labeling that, here's what you're going to want to put. Just trust me on this, okay? You do not see any pluses or minuses within that expression. Label 1, that means it's just one term. You're going to hear me say the word term a lot. In here, you have 1, 2, 3. You have 3 terms. So you're taking the one term here times, because there's nothing between it, the 3 terms here. So I have a question. What's 1 times 3? It's 3. That means you're going to make 3 dots, okay? Because you need to find 3 products. So here's what we do. We distribute the 1 to the 6, but it's actually 1x to the second times 6x to the second. I'll figure out what it equals in a bit. Now I go back to the 1x second, and I will multiply it by negative 3x. If it's a minus, you need to put it down as a negative. If you want to put it plus negative, that's fine, okay? But then you go back to your 1x to the second, and you take that times negative 1. You're just doing the distributive property, okay, when you take 1 by 3. Okay, now you're saying multiply this. Now you are multiplying. 1 times 6 is 6. Then you write your x down and you add the powers. 2 plus 2 is 4, so it would be 6x to the 4th. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Then you write x down and you have a 2 and a 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3. So negative 3x to the 3rd power. Then 1 times negative 1 is negative 1, and you just have x to the 2nd, so that's what you put down. You don't have to add, but you need to put the 2. Now I have a question. Are any of those powers the same on your x? 4, 3, 2. None of them are the same, okay? So you line that up over here with pluses between them, okay? So 6x to the 4th plus negative 3x to the 3rd plus negative 1x to the 2nd. And that's your answer. You can't do any more adding because they're multiple. The x's have different powers, so that disqualifies you from being able to add. Okay, next one. Put times dot. Put a parentheses around it. There's no pluses and minuses. That's a negative 5. There's no plus or minus operators between anything, so that's one term. This is 1, 2, 3, so it's 1 by 3 again, so that's 3 products we need to find. This is how you do multiplication, okay? So, negative 5a to the 3rd, and that goes, and I times it by 4a to the 4th, then back to your negative 5a to the 3rd, you're going to times that by negative 3a, and then back to your negative 5a to the 3rd, and you're going to multiply that by the constant 1, okay? So you multiply negative 5 by 4, that's negative 20. Then to multiply your variables, you add their powers. 3 plus 4, that makes 7, okay? Negative 20a to the 7th. Negative 5 times negative 3 is 15. Then a to the 3rd times a to the 1st, you add the exponents. 3 plus 1 is 4. So you put it's a first power if you don't have it. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Now we have a, but that only one of them. And what power does it have? It has a 3, so you just put a 3. You don't add anything to the 3 because there's no a's. So all your powers are different, so write them out. Negative 20a to the 7th plus 15a to the 3rd, or to the 4th, excuse me. And then you can put plus negative, or you could write minus. It doesn't matter if it's negative, it would be a minus, or you can just write plus negative 5a to the 3rd. Okay, it doesn't really matter. That's an a, that's a 4 there. Okay, next one. This has one term. That's called a monomial. Don't need to worry about the definition. Plus, that's one term, two terms, three terms, four terms. So this is a 1 by 4. Well, now there's probably 4 products we have to find. Okay. So 4d to the second times negative 2d to the third. Then 4d to the second times 5d to the second. Then 4d to the second times negative 6d. Then 4d to the second times 2. So 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Then on your d, you add the powers. 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, negative 8d to the fifth. 4 times 5 is 20. Then you add the powers. 2 plus 2, that's 4. Okay. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. Then we take d to the second times d to the first. So I add the powers. 2 plus 1 is 3. Then 4 times 2 is 8. And you have this d to the second, but you're not adding anything to it. It's just a second. So you got a d to the fifth, a d to the fourth, a d to the third, a d to the second. They're all different, so you don't add. You're done with that. You need to line them up with plus signs between them. So negative 8d to the fifth. Plus 20d to the fourth, plus negative 24d to the third, or you can just write minus if you don't like the plus negative, then plus 8d to the second, and that is your answer, okay? Next one, x, would be a 1 in front of it. That's just, again, one term. This has 1 and 2, so it's 1 by 2. It's just 2 multiplications we have to do. Because 1 times 2 is 2. That'll tell you how many times you have to multiply. So you got 1x times 7x to the second. Then back to 1x, 1x times 4. 1 times 7 is 7. Then on x, you got a 1 and a 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 times 4 is 4. Now this is the only x you got. If that's the only x we have and it doesn't have a power, just put it as x. You don't need to waste time putting a 1 on it if you don't have anything to add to it. Because it's the only x I got, just put x. Now x third and x, different powers. So 7x to the third plus 4x. Okay, I got one more in the back. Okay, 2x to the third times a 1x to the third plus 3x to the second minus 2x plus 5. Again, that's one term because there's no plus or minuses. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's one term by 4 terms. Okay, so it's 4 products to find. 1x to the third. So 2x to the third times 3x to the second. Then 2x to the third times negative 2x, and then 2x to the third times 5. 2 times 1 is 2, and 3 plus 3 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6, 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay, so you're just adding the powers. You're multiplying the coefficients and you're adding the powers. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Then you got x third and x first, so we need to add 3 plus 1. That would make 4. 2 times 5 is 10. Now you have x to the third, but it's not going to have anything added to it, so it's just x to the third. Okay. 6, 5, 4, 3. They're all different exponents, so you're not adding anything. 2x is 6, plus 6x to the fifth, minus 4x to the fourth, plus 10x, 3.